going. So I'm going now, not actually going yet. I need to get some music and I need to send this link to a handful more people, which means copying it a whole bunch and sharing it with all of the people who might listen to this. Just as soon as I remember where to find the YouTube music. You know what? Screw it. I'll play my regular Steps Chasing Kara, because that is quite good. Okay, we got music, we got I still need to send messages to people. Which I think is just going to be sending messages on Reddit. I should post this on the subreddit too. That would not be a bad idea. Oh, hang on. You could do this in a new page, otherwise I'm going to lose those links. And I will go over those in a bit. Come on. Where is it? Okay, call fishy and use gazing honey. Okay. Maybe some people will show up, probably not. Okay, I think I am too dim, which can be fixed by having brighter monitors. When the screen's dim, when it's bright, when it's dim, okay. Alright, so I'm going to go over these in sequence, one then the other. Make sure that the people I wanted to get this message actually got this message. Yep, they did. Okay. So, two questions. One from Goose using Ani on an interesting sort of spiral staircase arrangement that I think is going to have some interesting challenges in keeping these surfaces clean, because they tend to get very wonky when they tend to get quite wonky and things start to not line up when you do spiral or curve following patterns, especially if you're using splines, which probably won't be necessary, but you never know. And then we have one other question from Cult Fishy, which is, so he's got sort of what he wants at the back here, and it's a profile that sweeps down into the side, and he's having some trouble getting things lined up. This is a pretty easy fix. You can drag these green points around and choose which points line up, but since it looks like he wants a little bit more complicated and sort of continuous curvature here, we're going to explore that a little bit. I think maybe this is his top view. Yeah, okay, top view. I kind of wish he'd taken screenshots, but quick note for anyone who doesn't know how to take screenshots, I'm not sure if it's showing this on the screen, but you can like click and drag stuff, and then that's just in your clipboard, and then you can, this is just paint.net for example, but it's in your clipboard and Windows will treat it, oh, can't hear voiceover music. Fixed, hopefully. Turn my voice up a little bit. I think I must have tweaked a knob on my my receiver, so that should be fixed now. Thank you for letting me know, Jerry. All right. So, two questions. Let's start with this one. I don't actually have Solidworks open yet, so now we get to wait for 2 minutes while it opens. But this one's going to be interesting, though. I think... So we've got 15 steps. 4-foot interior diameter, 10-foot exterior diameter. 8-inch steps, 10 feet tall total. It's going to be a little tricky, for sure. Especially since you can't just do... Like... Blender has this really neat feature off the top of my head that lets you do... lets you forget how to use words, it would appear. The other thing, oh, hang on. We'll new IPS part. I'm still not quite done thinking about this. Critically, it doesn't say how long this bottom is supposed to be, but it looks like what use, I hope I'm pronouncing that right. It looks like what the problem is, or these are sort of vertical here, which is nice because it means I could just offset this helix down 8 inches, the height of a step, and use that to draw the lower surface. Yeah, look, those are almost dead even. So let's go ahead. I think the way I want to do this is probably helix. So we'll start off with that, start with the top plane. I may end up drawing 2 helices just because, like, it seems like it'd be, let's see, 10 feet. Okay. Let's see, pitch and revolution. Actually, I know height and revolution. I know that it's going to be 10 feet tall. And we know that it's going to be 0.75 revolutions, fortunately. And start angle, let's see, where does 0 put us? Clockwise. Okay. Oops. It doesn't hides when you rotate, which is annoying. I got an alt tab to look at my images. 8 inches, 10 feet. Oops. I keep control tabbing instead of alt tabbing. Let's do one more helix. Actually, do I have the dimension right? Yeah, 4 feet, 10 feet. Let's do one more helix on the inside. Music is slightly too loud. Go for top plane, interior. Make this 48 inches. And its same parameters, 120 inch height, revolution 0.75. And start angle 0. And 3D sketch. Just gonna draw lines between the end of these. Coincident? Is that gonna fix that in place? It does. Nice. And it doesn't look like it wants to let me like easily select. So I'm gonna have to sort of draw a cheater line here and make this guy coincident with this. Make this one along X. That seems to have defined it completely, which is weird. I'll just make that construction. Okay, so we have sort of the base outline now. I may have to pick a thicken direction when I set them down adjacently. So Jerry says, I think I would have figured out the area of each step and then set them down adjacently for each one. Yeah, actually, that would work too. I'm just trying, in my head, I kind of want to do this in a way that'll, like, in case the stairway gets longer and it gets to be more than one full round, which would be kind of weird. But possible, maybe. Who knows? I'm not building a house. I think it just seems like it would be nice to be able to correct for that and make it patterned upwards. We'll see though. Boundary surface. Direction 1. Pick this guy. And this guy. And pick these 2 individual groups. I hope so. That's the idea. Do a quick curvature check, and it doesn't want to tell me the curvature. That's cool and good. Yeah, you know what? The curvature is down by 0.01 in inches scale, so it's not really going to be able to show me anything. Unfortunately. Okay. See if I can't thicken it. I think maybe I can just pick a plane here and it'll make this 8 inches down. Yeah, sweet. So watch, I'm sure that when I try to do this and like extend it upwards, it'll be totally utterly busted, but I can hope. Actually, one way around that, I can control and make sure that this... I can get rid of that line. Well, I don't want to get rid of it exactly just yet, but if I remove the constraints from it so that I don't get rid of it, and then I move it down a little, and then I say pick the top of that and this one, or better yet, define a plane so that they're always connected to each other. I want to go this guy and this guy on the point of the line, and that'll make a perpendicular plane to this line. And then I will control, take that point, tell it to be, oh, even better yet, I can just tell this to be on this plane. And it'll come up and it'll always be on this plane. And so now if I pick the end point of this, can I tell it to be... Oh, I really want it to tell it that it can just be up there, but it doesn't really want to. I guess the other thing I could do is maybe I could just not have... If I tell a boundary surface not to include any features from the 3D sketch and just pick those two lines, is it still going to give me a good enough control of... Like, is it just going to naturally be the right shape? It looks like it. The problem is I never ever trust surfacing tools, so who knows? Okay, well the rest of this actually shouldn't be too bad. Let's, for this thicken feature, I'm going to do it both directions, and I'm going to tell it to cut 16 inches, and that way I know that I'm 8... Oh, that's 16 inches, whoops. I had it right the first time. It looks like it does that as thickness in both directions, so just 8 inches is fine then. And we'll hide these guys for now so they don't make my eyes annoying. Okay, so we're 8 inches up. We need to cut the first step. We also need to cut below it. We'll do the separate lower cut first. So extruded cut, top plane, pick the first sketch from our outer spiral. We're just going to convert that, exit sketch. So now we've grabbed the geometry from our first feature and we're using that to reference later. Then we say through all, and it should just cut that shape off of the floor. So now we have a nice flat spot at the bottom. I'll have to do the same thing up here later. Probably find a way to just grab the midpoint of that line. But this works for now. Now I have to figure out how to do this guy, and this is going to be... I get the feeling this is going to be just a little gross. Let's try... Let's try an extruded cut on the top plane, and we're just going to draw out our geometry as we did before. Grab this line and tell it, and do a convert entity so that it exists where we want it to be. Then from there to the edge. Oh, see, look, that's all kinds of jacked up. Am I actually looking at it straight down? Oh, no, never mind. Yeah, that's perfect. Whack. I think I have to pattern this guy around, and then I can use that to control... It won't be perfect, I think, but I can use... This really breaks down if I... I can't just tell it to pattern around the circle and use that to control how wide it is. I think I kind of have to just say 360 over... Well, it's only 3/4, so I need to do 270 degrees over 15 steps. Which is 18 degrees, which sounds right. Yeah, I think that's right. Actually, let's just go look at the drawing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 90 degrees. 5 times 18 is 90. Yeah, okay, we're good. I'm just going to... I think I'll just trim all this excess off. We don't need that. So now we come offset, 8 inches, and then this arrow controls which direction this cut's going, so I'm just going to go make sure that this little arrow right here is pointing upwards. And then we'll just do through all, so I think I can be a little bit lazier. That looks about right, actually, so... yeah. Let's just do something a little bit silly. Let's try a curve-driven pattern. Direction 1, this guy. And that should bring us way up to the top. Oh, it might actually be a little short. Well, let's find out. Let's just try it. Features, this guy. Tangent to curve. Base normal. 15? Whoa, that works good. Nope, it breaks. Awesome. It previews just exactly right, and then it breaks. Oh, nuts. I think it doesn't like having that sort of infinite face up there, but... No? That's weird. Well, that's super jacked up. It's producing sliver faces, which is not great. The next thing I'm going to try is maybe... I can see sort of how use, again, might be mispronouncing that, tried to do it. She extruded the individual faces and then patterned them upwards with a helix. Why does this one break? Feature failed to cut the body. But why? Why would you do that? Does 14? Does it work with 14? Works with 14. Makes all sorts of screwy faces, but it works with 14. I bet it'll work with 16 too. That would be bothersome. Failed due to geometric condition. What if we just tell it to do a geometry pattern instead? Yeah, okay, that breaks. This, because it's trying to cut a face that's going to end up right on plane with that face, it's going to complain pretty much no matter what. Although now that I'm looking at it, it's... No, 14... Oh, can't do geometry pattern. 14, does it cut that face successfully? It does. Okay, so it's jacked up for some other reason. I had this really awful idea where I could cut half of the steps in one go and then cut the other half in the next go, but there's no way that doesn't break horribly. How about this? Let's try 15, but let's, instead of doing the features, let's do the faces. Nope. Cannot be attached to solid to form a solid or a closed body. That's real rude, Solidworks. Well, actually, if I turn on full preview, maybe it'll show me which numbers work. Although that does mean it's got to generate it each time. Okay, let's go back and look at the model. How far into this are we? 20 minutes? Wow. Oh, that's interesting. That face doesn't end up cleanly. Does mine end cleanly? Mine does. So there are some interesting problems with how she's controlled her surface. I'm just guessing it's she, because maybe it's female. Who knows? You can't assume everyone's a dude on the internet these days because, well, you couldn't ever, but... Yeah, breaks for no reason at 15. Very odd. What happens if I just do align to seed? No, it doesn't do anything. Offset curve? Or, partial preview. Align to seed. Nope. Okay, that's busted. Tangent to curve. Transform curve versus offset curve. No, it just doesn't want to do it. That's sort of a terrible idea. We're gonna try, instead of doing the cut pattern from the bottom up... Well, Actually, hang on. There is one other way I can try to make this particular method work. If we do an offset, come up 16, so that we're on top of it, and then we cut back down by 10, or by 8, or whatever our tread height is. Intended cut does not intersect the model. What do you mean? Oh, there we go. Now it intersects the model. And now it works. But it's still broken. I don't really know what's causing these sliver faces. I'm sure if you look at these arcs... Nope, it says those are... Oh, goodness. Hang on. Draft analysis. Draft analysis. It's time for draft analysis. Oh. No. Oh, there we go. Yep, they are slightly... They all say they're at 90. It's very rude of them. And it's giving me arc lengths for all these faces. Or for all these outer edges. So, my worry really is that this sort of thing... actually, hang on. Curve pattern... What if I said, instead of number of instances... I'm not going to guess at what the spacing is going to be. That could be a mess. For now, let's just try... let's see, what does it say? There should be a dimension around here that we can grab. Here we go. D5 at helix spiral 1. So now we can come to helix spiral 2 and make this one equal to D5 at helix spiral 1. What? Oh. Maybe I have to select the dimension over here. Yeah. D5 at helix spiral 1. Oh, helix slash spiral. That's ridiculous. Equals D4 at helix spiral 1. So if I match all the rest of these dimensions, then I should be able to just tweak the first one, and I won't have to worry about it should just rebuild correctly. So let's try 1.25. Hey, that almost works. That's almost not horribly busted. Jerry Schaefer, can you make the shape you cut with be a greater diameter than the diameter of the stairway? I totally can, and there's no reason I couldn't. Don't know why I didn't think of that. Let's unbreak this for starters. Not 1.25, but instead 0.75. Yeah, I don't know why I decided actually to make... Oops. Don't need to visualize that, I just need to edit it. There's no real reason to make that coincident with the outer edge. Like, that can totally be larger. So, not on edge. Just make this guy bigger. Whoops. We're still coincident with something. Oh, there we go. Okay. So we can move this into the center, so it's coincident with the origin. Then we can just make this 72 inches, so that'd be 6 feet. That's plenty of space. Hey, look, that's not busted. Way to go. Good thinking. And it's still giving me arc lengths for these ones, but they are all the same, which is a good sign. Sometimes, oh, never mind. That one is 1/10,000th of an inch off, so maybe it's broken. Oh man, that looks pretty okay. Let's change. Let's see what's the pitch gonna be. Constant pitch. Can I do pitch and revolution? Pitch is 160, revolutions 1.25. Yeah, that's not bad. I mean, I have to make that match the pitch exactly, but that's not too difficult. And I think we can even do that actually with a quick equation applied to this curve pattern. We can come in here and say, instead of 15, give me whatever the height is here. Give me D3 at helix spiral 1 divided by 8. That should work. Equals D3 at helix spiral 1 divided by 8 Yeah, there we go. Mostly dynamic. Not quite perfect. It's still got that edge face up there. Not really sure why it's doing that. It just is going to be like that, I think. What's really weird is that should probably be... It might even tell me that those are they coincident, intersecting? No. It thinks they're different, but you could always just do a quick delete face, and it will extrude nearby faces with delete and patch, and then it should cannot be patched due to geometry condition. Sweet. That's broken. What happens if I delete this one? Nothing? Yeah, can't be deleted. Okay, so Solidworks really does not like working with this sort of geometry, or at least in the way that I've done it. The alternative is if you positively extruded these blocks and then patterned them up with the helix and then cut the bottom off using an offset surface, that would also work. Might even be a little bit cleaner just because you'd be a little more naturally generating these edges, I think, and this outer edge to be circular rather than a cut on a helix or on a boundary surface, a thickened boundary surface, which makes sort of rough geometry. But we can come in here and say 3. And it'll take a little while to generate because it's got to do all these cuts individually. But nope, or it'll just break horribly. Oh, maybe it's not divisible by 8. No, that's divisible by 8. 2? Wonder why it's breaking. It's 1.25? 1? Yeah, well, I mean, come up here and look at this, or even come back here and say, on this spiral, oh goodness, which one of these is the total height? I'm gonna guess this one. Did I actually type 120? Oh, hang on. I'm grabbing the wrong dimension here. Ooh, yeah. Good call. One sec. 0.75. Not templates. Get this out of the way. RadioCAD. Okay, question 1. And question 1. Okay, saved. Yeah, I think... So this isn't perfect. This is still a little bit numerically unstable, and SOLIDWORKS doesn't like it because it's a thickened surface, and because thickened surfaces just tend to do stupid things sometimes. But this geometry's here, and it's like, these are all the same: 18496, 18495, 18495, or 188,495. These are close enough that you could use these to, with some operations on this geometry, you could generate other geometry for wood cutting or that sort of thing. So now that I've spent half an hour on this, let's go take a look at the second question, which I think is going to be a little easier just because this geometry's a mess. It's going to be difficult to make no matter what. So another inch-pound-second part. Well, actually, I prefer working in millimeter gram seconds, and I didn't see any dimensions on that first one. Here we go. Okay, so we've got 2 rectangles spaced apart, and it looks like, okay, so front view, this one's a lot lower. Top view, I don't know why it's spun around, because it looks like the front view is coming from over here, which isn't how SOLIDWORKS normally does it. This might be a bottom view as well. That would make more sense. So you got front, side, top. I'm going to try and get pretty close to this, so I'm going to make that, say, well, now that I'm looking at it, I kind of want it in inches, so 10 inches, 40 inches, 15 inches, that seems good enough. So we'll start a new inch-pound-second part, and 2 quick sketches, or 3 quick sketches, rather. Oh, you know what, he did his on the right plane, so I'm going to try and match that. Right plane. these two vertical, select them both, Alt-Q makes them equal, applies the equal length relation. Make these guys 15 inches long. And I think I'm also going to make them construction lines too, so that that's more of a safety thing than anything else. We'll quick save it, just so we don't lose anything. Now to planes. Select the endpoint and the line. Do another quick sketch on, let's see, how did he have that? In the midpoint, roughly, of the top one, with it towards the backside. So we'll sketch on this guy, and then hide the plane so it doesn't get in the way. Whoops, that's much too small. Make that midpoint. I think I said I wanted this to be 10 inches roughly, and this guy can be about 40. That looks about right. The plane. Pick the endpoint and come on. Endpoint and line gives you on the endpoint perpendicular to the plane. That one's good. Do another quick sketch on it. Hide the plane. And then from the front plane, it was on that point. And 10 inches tall on that lower corner there. 40 inches long. Okay. So now that I'm looking at this, like from over here, this is probably really hard to see on a screen, but we've got, these two are not, they don't really share a common center, or they don't share a common cylindrical center that would make it easy to generate the normals. Did he really draw that way? Yeah, they're different distances apart. Okay. Okay, yeah, this is still workable geometry, it's just a little interesting. So, loft, lofted boss, I'm assuming. That's profile, pick this guy, and then pick this guy. Those corners, oop, I picked the wrong corners actually, but you can drag these green guys around to tell it where you want those to match up. So, if we just leave it as it is, obviously this is somewhat unsatisfactory because it doesn't have the nice swoopiness. We can come up back here and it looks kind of all jacked up. These faces are curvy, but that's only by merit of the loft making them that way, so. Or rather, necessitating that you have those curves to be edges for these straight lines and these faces. So, we're going to fix that by giving us a normal to profile constraint. That is kind of messed up on this one, so if I reduce the strength on the guy up here, it'll come in a little more clean. Yeah, that looks about right. This probably isn't perfect. I think what I want to do is maybe generate an ellipsoidal surface so that this is really clean. But if all you wanted was a duct between these two, this would technically work. But I'm not really a huge fan of how it doesn't seem to be kind of a constant area thing, so let's fix that. Let's get rid of this loft, and then we're going to sketch on the right plane. Yeah, right plane. Do kind of a, whoops, I didn't do a partial ellipse. Partial ellipse. Pick, whoops. Pick some points in space. Make that coincident. Coincident. I don't know why it's not letting me pick an endpoint. Let's see. I can do a Pierce constraint. That's good enough. And then I can make this guy coincident with where I want everything to be, and it's still not right because I'm still missing some controls here. Whoops. The center point's controlled, but I don't have control over the rest of the ellipse. Something's missing. Normally you get a couple of extra points, which is, I don't know where they've gone. So let's try and do that again. Love this song. The song, by the way, Muscle Peel by Zeph's Chasing Kara. You have almost certainly never heard of them. I don't care, they're great. So now we're gonna, just using the points on the ellipse itself. Horizontal. Hey, look, that works. Okay. Split entities. We'll go right here. Right here. Okay. So now I can delete that whole edge. That breaks it. How rude. So I'm just going to leave that construction line there. I don't know why it's not giving me the usual points that are visible around the edge. I must have busted a setting somewhere and broke it, but you know, I almost want to make another ellipse down there. Maybe I should. Yeah, let's do it. Okay, one more ellipse. Pick that edge, pick that point and that edge, do a pierce. Horizontal, oops, horizontal didn't work for some reason. No, it did. It's just being finicky, I guess. Vertical. It says it can move. But can it move? Oh, yeah, it can. Coincident. There we go. Okay, now we've got control over it. Now we can split entities, 2 locations. Call that good. Whoops. Split entities, please. Over here. And over there. Okay. There we go. Now it's construction. Now we can set pierce constraints everywhere we need them to be to get this in the right location. Okay. That looks good. Yeah, sure. Hey, glad to see you here. Yeah, don't worry about me. If you got a class, go to that because I'm sure that's more important. I kind of like tackling the interesting problems that people put up. So, because there's always some weird thing. I think it is joining duct ends, Jerry, but you obviously probably will know better than I do. So, fire away. Let's this song, man. Extruded surface. We're gonna go up to vertex in this direction, so we're all the way over here in the direction 2. Up to vertex over here. Yeah, okay. Now let's do 3D sketch. Constant area perpendicular flow. I'm not going to guarantee that. I just kind of want to guarantee that it looks swoopy, because this shape starts to get really complicated if you want to guarantee a constant area perpendicular to flow, because it's going to be flowing kind of down this way. Even if you've got like straight flow in here and straight flow out here. It would just be horribly messy, I think, to compute nicely. Although maybe you could do it with some really wacky topology optimization. Alright, so I'm now in... Let's see, can I make that tangent? Nope, that doesn't work. Can I select that and put it on a plane? I want spline on a plane. Can I make it a spline on a plane? Spline on surface. Okay, I do actually have to pick the surface then. Spline on surface. Yeah, there we go. I think I do want this along Y though. This guy needs to be along Z. Whoops, that's wrong. I need just this handle to be along Z. Nope, and that breaks it. Why does that break it? Why would it do such a thing to me? Tangent radial direction. Can I make this 90? Yeah, that seems to work, so that's totally whack. I'm gonna disable maintain internal continuity for a bit, just so I can tweak these lengths a little more. 10, 15? Oh, is that the back distance? I am no longer sure. 20, 40? Reset this handle? I don't know, click maintain internal continuity and then just leave it. That doesn't look too bad. I think maybe I can, oh, I can totally control click and drag it. Sick. Okay, coincident. Coincident. Nice. Coincident. This one doesn't seem to be totally happy with where he is either. Coincident. Yeah, cool. Okay, so now we have two fairly well-controlled splines. Call that out, 3D sketch. Hide those surfaces. And now if we do lofted boss base. I hadn't thought about it, but there is a non-zero chance that it won't stay to the outside surface. I don't know. I'll fight that bear when I come to it. Whoops, that's all kinds of jacked up. Give me my selection manager, please, and let me pick a loop. Cool. Guide curves, this one, and this one. That's fine, just not great. I don't know why it seems like it's decided that it wants to sort of ignore my desire for an ellipse, which is very rude of it. Actually, oh, they're different. That's weird. I don't like that. Those should be on the same surface. Whoops. Actually, let's try this a different way. Let's, instead of doing the loft, let's come back to these surfaces and see if I can't lofted surface, profile. Let's just selection manager, pick a single edge. Do the same thing over here. Oops, not the whole sketch, please. This is kind of out of my wheelhouse. Surfaces are very weird. So just that one, guide curves. Let's come back up into this 3D sketch. Get rid of this guy. But do a different spline on surface to tell it where I want this backside to come from. And I want this to be along Y. I want this guy to be along Z. That looks fine, I think. It's a little bit wonky, but this is, I mean, the nature of this part. Would it be possible? So, question from Jerry Schaefer: would it be possible to join the center point of each face and decide on that curve, and then shape a rectangle perpendicular to it that matches from one end to the other? Yeah, that's doable actually. Let's try that. I want to finish out this sweep to see if I can make it look nice at least. But that probably would work better for just defining your sort of middle constant area. So let's swept surface, or no, not swept, lofted surface, because lofting is not sweeping. Thank you, Solidworks, for making that pointless distinction. Guide curves, pick this guy and this guy. Yeah, that still looks all kinds of wacky. Don't like that very much. So let's come back before I did those surfaces. And the way I want to do this, I can make a plane in between two other planes. So, got these two guys. Whoops. Oh, hang on. Come normal to it. Okay, yeah, this doesn't look too bad. I think I can just draw 40, whoops, not 40, 10 please. Well, now I've jacked up that dimension, now all my other dimensions are jacked up. And I can make this line control that location. Not super happy with that placement. Let's try it. Let's just see what happens if we loft through it anyway. Oops, not lofted surface. We want lofted boss. Pressing all sorts of buttons here that I don't need to press. Lofted boss. And then from this guy to this guy to this guy. That's all kind of screwed up. Hang on. Start, end, normal to profile, normal to profile. I think maybe putting it in the midpoint was not the right decision. I think setting it further... It needs to be further this way, for sure. But that's now something I can control, so... Oops. I need to go normal to it. Let's just get rid of this guy and kind of arbitrarily decide how far over I want this to be. Just go like 4... Maybe it needs to come a little back, just a little bit. Hey! That actually doesn't look bad. Yeah. Hang on. I don't like how steep that comes out at the start there, but that's pretty easy to tweak. 0.3. And that obviously isn't quite perpendicular to flow, and there's certainly better ways to control that. If I wanted to be a little more careful, I could... Well, maybe it does want to come up a little bit, too. Let's try and bring this up to like 0.5. Actually, 0.3 from over here. This exit curve looks about right. This needs to come up a little bit and maybe get a little bit taller. So let's try that. Instead of 10 inches or 4 inches up here, let's bring this up to like 3 inches. Oh, I totally forgot I can do this live. 12 inches. Hey! Pretty good. Yeah. It's still not perfect, and I think sort of the nature of the shape is always going to make it difficult to control. It's always going to make it difficult to control where your sort of equal cross section is, but maybe I think I have Simulation Express. Nope, never mind. I don't actually know. Yeah, I have no idea if I have Simulation Express. I need to go and check, honestly. But this, I think, this method, so adding certainly the first trick of controlling where these green points are is that's how you control how your loft profiles rotate and how they're connected to each other. Always a good idea to have the same number of points in all of your loft profiles, that way things don't disappear or go into the void. You can control for that with guide curves, but it's a lot of extra effort sometimes if you don't want to have the splines and you just want to let the loft tool do everything for you. In this particular case, adding an extra profile works just fine, but sometimes, maybe if you're doing drafting for a ship hull or that sort of thing, it can be really hairy real fast. And the other thing is, just be willing to fiddle with the numbers, even if, like... So this profile is obviously not perpendicular to the flow, it would be more sort of come to this angle, hide this plane. Whoops, nope, don't do a new sketch, please. Just hide that plane. So we've got this sketch here. Because it's difficult to make it be perpendicular to the flow and say have an axis that it's parallel with right here, I could do that with a sketch. I could add another line in this sketch and say, just have it be, say, 8 inches over this way, and use that as a control axis, or one of the things that this plane is parallel to. You could make that match up a little bit better, but if you wanted to, I mean, it's just, how do you want to control it? SolidWorks is super open-ended, and it's never going to really limit you unless you're using the fillet tool, in which case it will limit you because it hates fillets, but that's another story. Yeah, this doesn't work too poorly, though. This isn't perfect. I'm not crazy about how this curve works, but considering that this geometry is fairly complicated as ductwork goes, I don't know. If I had to manufacture this, I'm sure my fab guy wouldn't be happy, but can I flatten that too? I don't have surface flatten. Why don't I have surface flatten? Oh, that's right, because that's only on premium, and that would be another $2 grand. That's disappointing. I mean, you could kind of guess at it, but... Or maybe go buy a... Yeah, actually, you know what? If you wanted to know what this flattened surface looked like, if you had to actually fabricate this, go spend $1 grand on a license of a Rhino, and that'll be cheaper than spending the extra $2 grand for a license of SolidWorks that lets you flatten this surface in SolidWorks. It just won't be a nice time, that's for sure. Ugh. Yeah, that's question 2, though. I didn't really have any other plans. Go through my messages. Nope. Nothing super important. I am kind of curious to see. It doesn't look like this surface. Well, it kind of matches up. It's sort of more or less parallel. There's not too much double curvature in here. Let's take a look at the curvature tool and see what it says. Yeah, some silly curvature, but it's really not too bad. This tight curvature up the top here, where the radius is down to 2 inches or less, you can fix that by just coming over to the side here and making it extend a little more, but that also adjusts your geometry over here, so it's 0.5, or like 0.8 is clearly too much, 0.5 looks about right. I don't think it has as much bulk back here as maybe I'd want it to, but you know, you never know. And this is the, just come look over here, these are the ideal ellipsoidal surfaces. Maybe sort of my ideal for this case. The other thing you could do is just come up before the loft here. Nope, it ate all my sketches. Hang on. Before the loft. You could come down and bend like this and then just jog over. I don't know how feasible that is because I don't design ductwork, but maybe it's a preferable option. Oh man, I'm tired. Long day today. Well, not super long, just lots of time in a car. Yep, saved. The the way you can tell, if you rebuild, like I hit Control Q just now, that forces a rebuild on the whole part, and it'll go through and say, okay, I'm generating this feature, then this feature, this feature, this feature, and then all these features in an order. That asterisk up there is I haven't saved. Control S, save. So, really need to get set up a backup solution though. Don't have one right now, which isn't great. Yeah, this looks good though. To whichever user it was, let me go take a look at that. Cult Fishy, I hope this ends up being useful to you. I hope you see my message, or maybe the post on Reddit. Maybe that's how you'll see it first. Yeah, if you have any other questions, feel free to ask me in the comments. I'm always happy to, like, I do have a CSWP, as you can see on the subreddit. I've done this enough that, I mean, surfaces, certainly not my wheelhouse all the time, but I know enough that I can get myself into trouble and maybe teach you a thing or two. So, I think that's all I've got. So, yeah. Thank you, 2 viewers, for coming and saying hello. I think I will call it here, and we are at almost dead on an hour, which is pretty cool. So, have a nice night. Hope you learned something. Go find a dog and pet it. Do that. It's a good idea. I did that a lot this weekend. All right. Good night.